Well, if you're like me and you love seafood, you probably know that cooking seafood at home can be a bit of a challenge, which is one of the reasons why most of us, well, go to a restaurant for
But it doesn't have to be, Jeff, as we will soon find out in his new book, The Great Shellfish Cookbook. Matt Dean Pettit shows readers how to buy fresh shellfish, where to store it, and the best way to cook it. And Matt joins us now. We're going to show Jeff that it doesn't have to be that daunting,
It does
right?
not. It does not have to be tough. You know, Canadians, we live in a great country with shellfish coast to coast. So the Great Shellfish Cookbook essentially tells people how to do it nice and simple and easy. Everybody can do it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we going to make today?
Okay, so we're into, if you've been, you know, you and I were talking off camera, you love New Orleans, you love the South.
Yes.
So do I. So we've got beautiful crawfish. So we've done a Nolan sort of crawfish type boil. So if you know anything about that, we've got some secret little elements, and it's simple. It's almost like your classic OG one pot. So you've got your sausage, everything goes into hot water. You've got your lemons, you go right in. You've got your potatoes. We've got red russets going in here. Everything goes in, so you're just going to pop that in. And the thing with crawfish is that essentially you've got to put a bunch in because there's not a ton of meat. You just sort of pick the tail off and go. But these are going to go in. So you're going to bring that up to a boil. You want to let that boil for probably about 15, 20 minutes. You'll see everything sort of come to a flavor.
Okay, can I ask you, that's the first thing that surprises me about this is that you're putting the fish in with the potatoes and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they would go in last because it cooks quickly.
You know what? You want the flavors to bind, and that's a great segue. You've done this before. Thank you. So we've got a little fun, a secret ingredient, a little Old Bay. So classic 80 years, you know, in the making. So that goes in. Be liberal with that. That's going to add about 18 different spices. You've got cardamom, you've got anise, you've got celery salt.
Somebody turned me on to that, Matt, about a decade ago, and you're right. It works for any fish.
It does. It does. You can put it on anything. So that's going in. Let's set it and forget it. That is the Nolan's boil. That's a recipe from the book. So we've got the fun action going on here. Alternatively, if we step down sort of here, we've got, because we were just saying as well, Carolyn, that crawfish are sort of tough to find in Canada. They either come frozen. There's a very short sort of fresh period that they're available in Canada if they're live. So you can buy frozen, which we've done here, which is great. They're sustainable. The flavor's locked in. If you can't find crawfish, we do our own, a Canadiana boil. You've got mussels. Does everybody know the rule with mussels?
Oh, if it's once it's cooked and it hasn't opened, you don't eat it?
That's exactly right. So you can do the tap test. I don't know if we're coming in here. So you can tap on it. You can see it home. Oh, look at this. This is great for TV. That's closing. That is a live mussel. So that is beautiful. That worked really well in our favor right there. So this one's going to be good to go. So I tapped it and it started to close. It means it's live. Also, alternatively, if you cook it and it doesn't open like you said, you discard it and it's done. So take everything out of here. Pretend we got a brand new pot. You don't have crawfish. You have beautiful PEI mussels, which are sustainable. They filter our oceans. They're one of the most sustainable seafoods that you can eat, being both ocean-wise and MSC, which are great.
And get creative with the broth as well, right?
Get creative
a lot
with the
of
broth.
fun.
Absolutely. You know, a court bouillon, which is essentially bay leaves, court bouillon, which means like a flavored broth in French, lime, lemons, coriander. You can put some bay leaves in and let that sort of come together. We've got some beautiful sustainable shrimp, which are either from Florida you can get or the Gulf of Mexico. Alternatively, we have beautiful Canadian cold water shrimp, which are the small little ones. These are Selva shrimp, which are ocean-wise. And then we've got snow crab, beautiful New Brunswick snow crab, and some beautiful cherry stone and little neck clams, similar to the piece with the mussel. If it's open and once you cook it, it does not open, discard it right away.
What do you recommend when you're cooking your shrimp? Do you recommend keeping the shell on? Because there's so much flavor.
That's right. I do. Yeah. So two ways. Like I think, yes, if you're going to do a boil, I would probably maybe I would leave the shell on because that's part of it. You get your hands dirty and you're doing something like this. If you're going to have it in a salad, perhaps, shell off.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. The flavor locks into there. The flavor locks in the shell. You've got it in there. We do it in the cookbook a few different ways. And yeah, it's fun. I
have a question. Sorry. I'm so intrigued by this. Here, do you have broth left over once? So where does the broth go?
So the broth will drain. So what you'll do is you'll drain that off. I think, you know, a lot of times you can save that, reserve that liquid for other things, whether it be poaching other seafood. You've got the shell shrimps. It makes a great stock.
For sure.
You know, what I would do if I may, you know, this has been drained.
Okay.
This is how we do it. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
You want to get that right out. Get in there. You've got your cooked sausage. You know, the power of live TV. We're going to hit that with a little more Old Bay.
Okay.
You know, and then you just pick off the tail. Those are ready to go. And you just...
show me the trick here,
So
Matt.
essentially with a crawfish is you pinch the tail, pull, and then you just suck the back. Or you can pull it out alternatively if you'd like. So you can just pinch it, and you're just pulling the meat. The thing with crawfish is you eat a lot of them, and they're like a little lobster, and they're beautiful. They're sweet. They're We'll get you some napkins. I have my apron. You can use my this is what we do in the kitchen.
Or I could just wash it down with this right here.
I like the way you think,
Oh,
Jeff.
that has some kick. I mean,
does.
I had a sausage. Now, was that your spice or was that?
That's the Old Bay. There's
sausage.
nothing else added. Yeah, it adds
Oh.
celery salt. You've got savoriness. You've got sweetness. Yeah, it's a staple. It's an absolute staple.
Why is it that people are reluctant to cook shellfish? What is it that they got to get over, Matt?
You know what? I think it's a great question. That's something that ties us up as Canadians and across the world. Just from that piece, it can be expensive. It can be intimidating to cook. If you're buying something that's the protein being expensive, people don't want to mess it up. So I think that's where the Great Shellfish Cookbook comes in, because it shows people how to make it affordable. It makes it approachable. I'm a believer of cooking either 2 or 3 steps. It allows you to have more time for beer or a glass of wine or enjoy just time with friends. So I think.
Here's to that.
Yeah.
Here's to that.
All
Here
right.
we go.
Cheers. Oh, here we go.
The Great Shellfish
Thank you,
Cookbook
guys.
is available right now. Matt Dean, good to see you, my
Thank you,
friend.
guys.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Jeff. Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Carolyn.